Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and on a lot of my live streams I get questions from people asking if I could share the custom views that I'm using on all my streams. Well, sharing them is rather difficult because I'm changing them all the time, but let me use this video to explain to you exactly how you can move around like I do in the aircraft, and how you can create all those views and save them yourself, so that you get exactly what you need. So let's start with how I'm actually moving around, and this is the simple part of it. So let's go into the settings here for a moment, control options, and let's go ahead and filter this by only the keys that I have assigned. And then let's find those functions. So I'm using the translate view functions in order to move myself around the flight deck and the cabin. So these are called translate cockpit view left, right, forward and backwards, and as you can see I have assigned them to the arrow keys on my keyboard. This is not a default assignment, this is a custom assignment that I've done in order to be able to move around. There are two more that you want, and this is the increase and decrease view height functions that you can also find in the cockpit camera menu. And I've assigned those to the right shift key plus the up and down keys on my keyboard, which enables me to move the view up and down. From there, this is exactly what I do. So in order to go to the cabin, for example, I can now simply move ahead like this and move myself to the cabin, take any seat that I want. Now the next question is, how do you create views that look appealing to the average flight simmer then? And that is quite an easy question to answer actually. Flight simmers like what they see in the real world and what they see on their computers. So just like flight simmers prefer to fly the A320 family or the 737 family or the 777 over, for example, an MD-11 or an MD-80, they prefer the views that they commonly see in their real-life experience, and that can be two possible views. On one hand side, simmers like to take a look into the flight deck when they board or deboard an airplane. That means any look that goes somewhere like this is normally something that a flight simmer will appreciate, because it simply is the standard view that he is used to from the real world. There are a couple more perspectives though, and that is not what the flight simmer sees himself, but what the flight simmer sees in his aviation experience, which is normally down to the likes of Just Planes or Pilot's ITV. And that is the GoPro view. Now, how are you going to get a GoPro view? Well, think about places where the camera can be attached. Usually pilots like to put one on the side of the window over here. Something like that. Maybe move it up a little bit so that you can see the terrain down a little bit better, and this would be a typical view that a simmer would appreciate. Now let's talk about how you can save and recall those views. By default, the keyboard combination to save a view is to press Ctrl and Alt at the same time, and then press one of the number keys on the top of your keyboard. For example, if I want to save this view, I can press Ctrl Alt 9, and now this view is saved. If we want to change back to this view quickly, we can press Alt and 9, and you can see that now it basically brings us right back into this view. Likewise, if we want to save, for example, a custom GoPro that is attached to the front of the flight deck, we could press Ctrl Alt 8 in order to save it. And now, if we want to recall that, press Alt 8, and you can see that the camera immediately goes back into that very setting and shows us that lovely departure of that jumbo down there. Now this is how you could create custom flight deck views. Another lovely GoPro perspective is when you can attach it somewhere over here and then just look down on the flight deck like that. So we can save that using Ctrl Alt 7, and then if we need to recall it at some point, just press Alt 7, and this brings us right back into this perspective. Now, in terms of cabin views, flight simmers usually appreciate what they see in the real world. So that means you want a nice perspective on a window seat. In the optimal case, you are going to pick a window that is attached right next to the seat and not in the middle like it is in the row back here. and then you are going to position yourself next to that. Adjust the window. Normally having the wing visible is a good thing here. Might be a little bit hard to do from this very seat over here, so let's just move back a little bit by a couple rows like this. And here we go. Nice little window seat that we can save. So Control Alt 6, and now it is saved so that we can recall it at any time. So if we want to go, for example, into one of the previous views, like our GoPro over here, then we want to change to the passenger seat, press Alt 6. And here you are, right back in your window seats. Normally I would recommend to choose a couple of different perspectives, so this one here is looking nice for the front view. Then let's take one from the other end side where we can view the leading edge of the wing, for example. And if you want to figure out from where you have the best view on the leading edge or on the trailing edge of the wing, find those little black triangles in the cabin. Those are meant to indicate the best row from where to view the leading or the trailing edge. And those are actually there in the real aircraft as well. Do have a look at that. So in this A321, for example, it is row number 16 Foxtrot for the window seat. And these are there to give the pilot an aid if they need to inspect the wings for icing conditions. You immediately know which row to go to, and you don't have to fiddle with passengers like, oh, would you mind if I have a look at your window for a moment, and do that 3 times because you don't know which row to go for. So that's what these little indicators are for. And now we can save this using Control Alt 5, and now this view is saved as well. We can do the same once again for the trailing edge. There is another black triangle, which we can already see coming up over here in row number 23, 24-ish. So let's just... we've got the seats here, so let's take the one after that. And as you can see, perfect view on the trailing edge of the wing down here, which we can save using Control Alt 4, and now this is saved as well. Last but not least, I would recommend to go for a view that is located in the very aft of the cabin, so that you have a nice view onto the outside area and maybe the wingtip. So something over here, just taking a best guess over here, row 35, if we look at that, nice view on the trailing edge of the wing, which again we can save using Control Alt 3, and now these are saved. So like that, we've now created custom views that we can go over here, 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 or maybe here, or do you prefer here? And that way we can easily create our custom views. So remember, the most important things is your key assignment using the translate view in order to move sideways and forward, and the increase or decrease cockpit height functions that you can use in order to move around inside the cabin and the flight deck. Then create some perspectives that usually have to resemble the GoPro perspective, as that is what most flight simmers will find most appealing, since it kinda offers the same view in their simulator that they are used to from watching their favorite aviation videos. Last but not least, in terms of the passenger's perspective, you would want to pick some point of view that you would normally use when you are flying in the real world as a passenger, and then create a little bit of variation. Make use of the hints that you have available in the cabin, like those black triangles, in order to create the best possible point of view for the leading and the trailing edges. That's it already. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this one helped you to create your own awesome custom views, and that you have liked the contents of this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you're up for more, and last but not least, if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.